Good evening, Free Enterprise fans and rando heads in general. We are here for the second match in the Chocobo group here in the group stage of Highway to the Threemus Zone. We got a match between LockeColeLive, his first match, and Xudmud, his second match, both looking to get their first win though. Up here in the booth, I'm Invenerable, joined by Baka Shinobi. We got Asuka424 handling the restream, and a Stone Dingley on tracking. Baka, what do you see on these objectives?
I see a lot of darkness. It's the objectives to forge the Legend Sword with the Adamant, conquer the Vanilla Masamune altar, complete Minor Ordeals, and complete the Giant Babel. Two of those require the Darkness Crystal, so you definitely want that. One of them requires nothing from the start, so you just have to climb ordeals, and if you have Cecil, you kind of want to do that anyways. So I don't think we're going to be forging any swords today. We're going to be hunting down a Darkness Crystal somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the fact that there's not going to be a pass door. Well, I mean, you may end up having the pass, but you're not going to take the pass, Nettie, and go beat the game at level 16. Uh, that Masamune altar is the final one in the moon. It's right when you swap over to the Zemus Zone crystal floors. And of course, the Giant of Babel, that's two very nasty back-to-back bosses. You can have some freer things there, some harsher ones. Just depends on how the seed has rolled. Uh, but yeah, spicy objectives here. You're probably going to be doing quite a bit of grinding this seed to be able to complete these.
Yeah, though, with that Giant Babel objective and Ordeals objective, if we find Tella, I imagine we'll see some nice D-machine grinding going on this seed.
Oh yeah, just get all those levels at once. Don't worry about spending all that money on sirens. Don't go stealing. Just go and do the classics. The classics.
Uh,
I
I
will
definitely
mention
like
though.
that. Go ahead.
Oh, that with the complete ordeals, on the off chance we do find both the legend and adamant, before we find that darkness crystal, it will give you an Excalibur. So even though we have vanilla agility, this starting Cecil can have the second strongest sword in the game if our key items fall that way. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You think you're going to end up keeping this Cecil or ditching him?
That is a big question because we do have the vanilla agility flag on, which means Cecil is your anchor no matter where he is in the party. If you have multiple Cecils, you can go and anchor with one and keep the other at high agility. So that might be something our runners are looking out for. They might go and try and pick up as many Cecils as they can because his holy swords are really strong. The Excalibur, being the second strongest sword in the game, is 150 attack power compared to the next strongest, which is 109.
Yeah, it's a big jump. And also with these fights on the Giant and on the Moon, Cecils are great for the cover strat as well. Find yourself some really powerful knight armor, back row glitch him with a dwarf axe or a bow and arrow, and if you have these extra Cecils, they're all like, no, I'll take the hit. No, I'll take the hit. No, I'll take the hit. But it looks like we are off to the races. We're going to see who is paired with this Pain Man and what our starting item is.
I am definitely excited to see.
Well, you said you wanted to find a second Cecil, right?
Yeah,
Done. Problem solved.
Really hard for me to go and it would take a lot for me to go and change this team, to be entirely honest. Okay, it would take a lot for me to remove both Cecils. Because, as Invin said, cover strats are good, he gets access to good weapons, really good weapons, disgustingly powerful weapons. I like relative agility 1 Cecil. I don't like playing fair with agility. If I can have 2 Cecils, I will let 1 Cecil take a nap and the other one go and do all the damage in the world.
Yeah, so we've gotten both first Cecil and second Cecil. Which means we'd like to find some characters who can do some damage in the overworld. With free characters on, of course, probably going to be able to. But if this ends up being just like a plethora of Cecils, we may be starting to hunt the Black Sword or the Deathbringer, as it is called in later translations. Even your Dark Knight Cecil can do a lot of work in the overworld with that weapon and all its step. Oh my god. Oh, I was hoping we were going to have 5 at once. Oh, Sid bailing the seed out. Oh my god.
So this is Sid and his entourage of Cecils. Apparently, this is a cloning experiment gone wrong or something because this is madness. Like I said, he can use strong swords. Finding 4 of them is a little hard.
I mean, they're relatively cheap, but this watery pass, don't you love walking all the way to the waterfall, You step inside, and all 3 chests are empty.
And it is the best feeling in the world next to going and getting punched in the gut.
Xudmud here, meanwhile, climbing ordeals very early. I doubt we're going to see any attempt at completing it, but we do have another free character here. And when all you've seen are Dark Knight Cecils and a Cid, I can't fault. Oh my god.
I believe our restreamer Oscar24 is an extreme fan of Cecil because that's all we're seeing except for one Cid. This is the all Baron seed. If the other character, if we only see a Rosa and maybe a Kane, this would be the all Baron team. But I imagine Xudmud is feeling this. These character checks are feeling pretty barren. Let's see what Damsian has. Does Damsian have another Cecil? Hello, Dark Knight's my old friend. We're here to go and just talk to you all over the place. At this point, I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing Golbez in multiple spots, because this is a few too many Lunarians.
So, what character spots do we have left now? Baron Inn requires a fight. Hobbs requires a fight, but you get the character first at least. I don't know. I don't.
We start with a rat tail as well, so that's not getting you anywhere. How well do you want to go and hunt down darkness crystals? Or black swords, I guess, is a real big question. Because, yeah.
You want them. You want them real bad right now. You want to find an overworld shop selling the black sword, and you want to load out this team.
Do you buy 3 or 4? Because, you know, it does give +5 to your agility, and Cecil's going to be your anchor, so you could go and hold off on one and anchor one of them. I'm sure Xudmud is just getting really annoyed at this point, because LockeCole has only seen Cecil's, but hasn't seen all the checks. Xudmud has seen all the checks and has seen one character that's not Cecil. It is going to be really hard to go and make a team that doesn't use Cecil at this point. I think there is no choice but to go and use Cecil for your anchor this seed.
Oh. We see Starvels in the Troya Cafe shop, one of those guaranteed overworld J items, just to give you a little extra safety against some nasty fights.
Meanwhile, Xudmud going and checking Miss Cave and finding Mom there. Not the Threemus check he was hoping for, but, you know, Mom's kind of an annoying boss. Really rude in some spots because they get an extra 10,000 health to pretty much guarantee they go through their explosion script. Granted, you can skip it late in the game when doing an extra 10,000 damage is like 2 swings from a Crystal with Cecil, but right now, that means you're going to see some small bombs and fight it. But Xudmud going up Mount Hob, are we going to see another Cecil?
No! We got a baby Riddy up here. That's not that much better at this point in the game.
Alright, two things I'm going to say in defense of baby Riddy. 1, she learns Warp. 2, she can do AoE damage. And she can probably do better damage than Cecil.
Well, maybe not at level 1, though. But admittedly, we do have that alt summon flag on for West Hobbs. If you're willing to go back around the mountain, you will get a random summon that, you know, I mean, even something like Ifrit or Shiva will do tons of work in the early game. Like you said, you get that AoE a little better than this Dark Wave.
Yes, I believe Riddy would actually be able to do 3 digits of damage rather than 2.
Yeah, yep. But yeah, we have small children populating these other places, a Rydia on Hobbs, and a Porum in the Baron Inn.
And Porum's guarded by Mist Dragon, so that's a very, very nice spot to go and see Mist Dragons, so you don't have to keep looking around trying to find them.
Absolutely. No need to have to scour every boss spot thinking it's hiding somewhere. But this also means that unless we get like a key item from one of these places that gives us access to a character check, we don't have a good source of magical healing until we get through that second fight at Baron Inn, and that can be a very nasty, hard-hitting punch.
We could roll a Shura from the free check or find one in the overworld, but that's a very decent point because Well, for starters, Ridley is not very good at surviving.
Ooh, and a spicy Murasame in the mountainside chest there, right next to the boss on Hobbs. No edges yet, but that is his second best katana on average. And if you don't find one, or you don't expect to find one, it will finance a lot of your overworld shopping.
Speaking of overworld shopping, LockeColeLive going to pick up notice items. They cast Ice 1 on all enemies. That is surprisingly relevant in a seed where your damage is Dark Knight Cecil. I was talking about 3-digit damage, and I believe it was doing 3-digit damage.
Well, both our racers through here, taking care of the Kaipo guards fight. LockeCole doesn't dive all the way to the other side of the mountain, but does pick up that nice katana. Xudmud's going to give us a peek. What does Rydia learn? I kind of hope it's useless. It'll just be so entertaining.
Hey!
Curious. Yeah, Cockatrice will come in handy on other mobs that don't have the boss bit, whether you need to, if you need to do some kind of grind later, if you're popping eggs with sirens, Cockatrice works there. So yeah, actually surprisingly handy in the right circumstances, but it's not going to give you big AoE damage against these other overworld bosses.
Yes, it is not going to go and increase your damage, but it is a good utility spell to have. Ooh, lightsaber in the first chest of Antline Cave. Not something to go and feel bad about, because gonna guess you're going to have someone around you to use it.
Yep. And Catclaw for even more money, or if you do end up with an endgame Yang, it's a pretty nice stat claw for him. But that lightsaber I like. Like, even if we only had the one Cecil, lightsaber's kind of my bottom tier sword at which I'm really considering keeping a vanilla agility Cecil. But if we have two of them, then yes, slap that on your fast one, curse your other one. That's a perfectly cromulent endgame weapon for your paladin.
Yes, something that's very important to go and talk about is that we are really going to want a curse string, because Dark Knight Cecil starts at 10 agility, Paladin Cecil at level 1 starts at 13 agility. You do not have a slow anchor. It is going to be very hard to go and slow him down. If there's a hook route that requires a route getting through a rude boss, that is going to be very difficult with a fast, with an anchor who's literally as fast as the rest of your team. So you're going to want to do something to slow them down. You can also use the Dwarf Axe or the Drain Sword to take off 5 of that agility to bring them down to a base, bring Paladin Cecil down to a base 8. But our runners are going to be in for some interesting challenges this seed.
Yep. We do see LockeCole going for the Eblin Castle loot spree. We found a coffin, a life staff, and then we ran into Mad Ogres. Not quite ready for that fight, but some other goodies thus far, and we'll see just how much this place pays out for Locke.
Yeah, if you can get some high tier treasures in here. In T Wildish, we do weight treasures differently, so it's not every location has the same chance of having something. It's you can go and have these locations with trap chest monsters have some much better stuff than you'd find in, say, Baron. Catclaw being more money for LockeColeLive, but I think he's really looking for one of those big holy swords to really power him through when he gets those Cecils through ordeals.
Yeah. Alternately, could be hoping to get a fortunate, say, Leviathan summon drop to get this Rydia online.
Very true. That would be a big boost to early damage. That would go and be good AoE, and you want to go and be able to do some good damage. Only looting both the center tower and the left tower, and only finding one fight so far. I wonder if he's going to go out and save. Yes, that is a smart move. Bank what you have, maybe just leave.
Cutting your losses, thinking that's enough money, and that Stardust item will come in handy as well in some of these fights. Good AoE damage to the tune of about 800, depending on your foe. Will definitely, as long as it's not Valvalis, make this Antlion Cave boss pretty much trivial if he elects to use it here.
Yep, and finding that light sword, so definitely something you're happy to see when you've got a party full of Cecils. Down to 3 so far. We'll see if we can reduce that count a bit more, maybe, but a light sword, I agree. I would probably consider keeping Cecil, because that is a solid endgame weapon to have. It's a solid weapon. few items on par with the Gungnir Spear, not as good as things like the White Lance and the Defense Sword, but a lot easier to find, so...
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, on this flag set with a S standard, gated shops can even sell up to lightsabers. So if you've got the cash to spend, you can outfit this many paladins if you, or you can just find a defense sword. Oh, T Wildish, you so generous. And is that a third Cactlaw?
I believe it is. I think we're going to go and start giving them to Rydia as slippers. And finding a Kamikaze, that's... So Sid is one of those characters that's great early game because he starts at level 20. He has, compared to Cecil and Rydia, he has a good weapon in the form of that wooden hammer. He can use bows. He can go and wear a bunch of equipment and some heavy armor. But he scales pretty poorly and takes a lot of experience to level up, so it tapers off.
But wait, there's more. Yo, Baka, we heard you like Dark Knight Cecils, so we put a Dark Knight Cecil here to fight your Dark Knight Cecils, so you can Dark Wave while you wave Dark.
And here I thought you were going to say, I heard you like darkness, so I'm going to give you darkness in your darkness.
At this point, we're likely to be eaten by a Gru. Yeah, a few Dark Waves at about 17 to 22 damage apiece, a life pot to get Rydia back up to make sure she gets XP, and this freebie fight is in the books. What do we get though?
For a freebie fight, it's definitely something to go and be happy to get early when he's not going to do a lot more damage.
Oh yeah, you get a, hey, character check. Sand Ruby, let's keep dropping these Cecils like they're bad habits. But I do like you said, seeing Pain Man here, much better than seeing it at, say, the King Queen Evelyn spot, seeing it at that Masamune altar we have to go to later. Although with Cecils and Sids, you're probably going to have enough HP to tank through them, but that doesn't mean you're going to enjoy it.
No, and if you don't find a white mage, that's going to be very painful to do. Yes, let's see who is in the bed today. I don't know. I believe Xudmud went and checked here, but I didn't catch if they catch the character here.
That is a right ponytail, means left-handed. That is Palom. A little annoying to see after you've done both your Hobbs and your Antlion checks, because it means that going into the harder tier of fights, you're not going to already have a tier 2 elemental spell, but definitely a welcome addition to this team.
And Ben, can I go and say something awful about wishes for the seed?
I don't know who would stop you.
I want to see a Crystal Sword and Avenger Sword come out now, so that LockeCole feels a bit awkward about going down to just 2 Cecils.
Yeah, because of course, if you have both a Crystal and an Avenger, you can flip them at the Zeromus fight and have multiple Cecils going with that Crystal Sword damage, which is, oh, so nice.
Or you can just flip it while you're going along on the moon. Just that Avenger glitch, as soon as you go and equip it, it kind of forgets to update your stats, so you can have a Crystal Sword in your inventory, and then give it to your other Cecil and have 2 people doing obscene amounts of damage.
And if you get real precise on your Berserk timing, you can even have one. You don't even have to have the Avenger to do the Avenger glitch, so to speak. It does undo if you get a black hole doing this trick, but if you queue up Berserk and then you unequip, I know we already saw this Cecil, but it still makes me happy. If you just unequip while the spell is being cast without taking an action until that Berserk wears off, you'll still be getting your Crystal Sword damage too.
I love that LockeCole is really debating this, because does he want a 3rd Cecil? He's got a light sword. Maybe he's going to have more weapons. He doesn't have any better weapons. He needs Sid right now to get through this, but yeah, this is this is the most hilariously rude early game I've seen in a bit. Oh, dear.
Yeah, that's a good point, Arusta in the chat. Given that all our Cecils are getting reset to level 1 anyway, you do kind of want to make sure you have the best looking Cecils on your team in the long run. Absolutely agree, 100%. Luckily, by the way, the Grimoires do not exactly count as a normal summon, and thus do not draw a Quake reaction from the Pildim.
Yeah, that is one of those things that you really want to make sure happens, because, yeah, Quake, even if at a low power magic spot, is probably going to go and destroy the scene.
Main thing here is LockeCole does not want to use elemental magic. Each of the 3 elemental types will draw. Well, first of all, they heal Pildim. It absorbs fire, ice, and lightning. You don't want to hit it with a Chocobo summon or anything. You will get that Quake back. Luckily, physical damage here kind of paltry, and you can just tear down the dragon with enough time.
Yep. And again, Sid is going to go and do some decent damage. He's level 20. He starts with some equipment, and LockeCole choosing to go and save. I don't agree with this choice, just because every fight is going to be costly, and if it's something like Golbez next, you don't want that.
Yeah. Oh, and Xudmud uses the naming way to indicate which of his Cecils he intends to anchor with versus which one he intends to, carve things up with. You don't want to get those two mixed up and, end up leveling up your anchor past the point of good agility values.
Yes, that Cecil is going to be hard to anchor with without some equipment, so I think there's going to be a lot of shopping going on this seed. Also,
we see... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say another thing this seed is that we still have not seen a proper white mage, so Berserk is going to be really hard to pull off, because Bacchus are only in gated shops, and that can be a very important thing to deal with if we have to deal with a hook route.
Well, there is a Porum in the Baronin, and she learns Berserk fairly quickly, and with 2 Cecils around to cover her, you can probably keep her standing as long as there's not a lot of nasty magic spells being thrown your way.
Very fair. I forgot about that Porum. Porum is going to go and get added to this team rather almost assuredly, I think. The question is just where does he go and get up for Porum, to be entirely honest.
And speaking of things that are assuredly happening, we do see the Queen of the Fey March here at the Mylon Z spot up on Ordeals. LockeColeLive using the double Star Veil strategy to get a wall put up on her. Instead of, you can lifelock, try to always keep it on the gray face, but this way you just set it, you forget it, and you get through eventually, especially using all these J items.
Yeah, that's something where lifelock, you have to go and be very patient and make sure you only go and use those items right after you see the life. Otherwise, you can go and throw up the RNG, and that you want to keep it on life 1, because if she casts Cure 4 on yourself, well, guess what? All the damage you did, gone.
And one thing about using your Anchor to Star Veil at Relative Agility 5, Star Veils do wear off after 50 ticks of the ATB. And, yeah. Poor Anchor Cecil could not handle that lightning too.
And poor Gallum, getting geared up to go and cast a spell and then even punch.
Ow. Ow. Almost had that fight too. You know LockeCole was so close to getting that kill. But the Star Veil dropped, the Cure 4 went off, and back to square one. I'm surprised not to give it a second chance here. I think LockeCole was very close to completing that fight. Asura doesn't do anything to you until the fight starts. You could take time here, bluff your Palom 5 times or so, and then set up the double Star Veil, and those reflected, tier 2 spells will be doing even more damage at that point. Would probably only take 1 or 2 to get the kill. So always pay attention to your J abilities. They can get you out of some of these rough spots.
Yep, though I think LockeColeLive is going to go looking around for either an Elven Bow or some new arrows, because that will also go and do a lot of damage to Asura, because she is a mage-type enemy, and new arrows do quadruple damage to mage-type enemies, and Elven Bows do quadruple damage to mage-type enemies. Can't stack both of them for 16 times damage, but it's still a lot of damage.
Yep. And Xudmud takes care of Fabul, gets the Adamant Rock, so halfway to that first objective. Well, gotta get underground too, of course. And more importantly, that's halfway to an Excalibur.
Yeah. I think of, LockeColeLive not buying the Elven Bow, which I was under the impression they were looking for.
Maybe a situation where LockeCole's aware that mute arrows do the bonus damage, but is unaware that Elven Bow gives that same bonus. It's one of those things where, thankfully, Boardface added in the inventory information screen where you can press select and see all the stats on stuff. Because Final Fantasy IV originally was very obtuse about this. You couldn't see any of a weapon's real strengths or weaknesses, and if you wanted to see the accuracy and stat bonuses, you'd have to pay close attention to your own status screen. So equip, or look at your status, equip, go back to status. Cutting out, God, the quality of life is so good. Boardface rocks.
Yeah, Boardface is very appreciated for that because, yeah, seeing those stats is really important. Going and seeing, like, oh, this piece of gear, like, that black belt gives you +5 strength and vitality, or the wizard armor gives +5 willpower, that's pretty good to know. That's actually some pretty decent gear. I might want to go and keep an eye out for those. And then again, that accuracy number, that accuracy can go and cause a big swing in damage. That's one of the other big bonuses of the Elven Bow. Okay, there's a lot of them, to be entirely honest, but one of them is that it has very high accuracy for a bow. The short bow has terrible accuracy, the archer bow has better accuracy, but the Elven Bow has, what is it, base 75% accuracy?
Yeah, it is the highest base accuracy bow in the game. Samurai and Artemis bows are really nice as well, especially like the bonus strength you get from them, the bonus agility you also get from the Artemis bow. But as far as simple base agility, can't go wrong with an Elven Bow.
Yep, I love those things because, as I said, they go and they have that mage vulnerability bonus damage. They have the high accuracy, and they give +5 wisdom, which is the black magic casting stat. So, oh, I go and use this on my Rosa for a bit, but now she's switching over to healing, or I found an Artemis bow. What do I do? Oh wait, I take this Elven Bow, I give it to my Palom or my Iridia. Hey, look, here's +5 wisdom, and I don't have a rod.
Stat sticks, so nice.
The stat increasing gear does go and make a pretty big difference in this game, just because the more you know about how those stats work, the more you really want them.
Yeah. Anyway, at this point, we know that our way underground at this point is either gated by these kind of rude fights up on ordeals. It's kind of tricky because we have the Dark Knight Cecils. We know we have several good weapons already. We have a lightsaber and a defense sword. We know there's an X-Scout. Oh no! Uh-oh. Heldim doesn't like summons.
Moon bosses don't like summons in general.
They really did kind of hose Rydia with the vanilla scripts of so many monsters, huh?
They make it so easy to get a hum. It's like, yeah, it's on the moon, and yeah, it's a kind of tricky fight if you can't do a lot of damage, or, you know, go there with Spasoya and have 2 people casting wall, because we don't get J items. But then every boss on there really, really hates you for going and casting a summon. Ooh, but LockeColeLive, finding the big money item, the black swords in the shop.
Yeah, that will do. Well, but also, LockeCole only really intends to do one more fight with the Dark Knights. But, you know, they don't hurt.
They definitely, I mean, black swords, yeah, you're only going to use them for one fight, but it can be one really important fight if that's what goes and takes you from not being able to go and get through the boss and getting through the boss. It's a worthwhile spend of 6,000 gold.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Xudmud also getting stymied by Heldim. It is a bit frustrating sometimes that Final Fantasy IV does not go and clearly telegraph what are counterattacks and what are just maybe part of the script.
Yeah, that's also true. Like, I know as a kid, I had no idea what I was doing that would cause... Like, I didn't know reactions. I had no idea.
I had no idea Rubicon didn't normally just, spend every turn casting Fire 2.
It's like, that is really fast. Why is he doing Fire 2 something? This kind of hurts. Whereas now it's like, oh.
Rubicon is so much less scary when you know those things.
Yep. LockeColeLive here, taking another stab at the Holy Mountain with his more powerful Swords of Darkness.
Yep, and This is... Again, that vanilla agility is probably making things a little bit more tricky because Callum is, for all of his strengths as a black mage, not exceptionally fast, so he's probably getting an ATB penalty just because these Cecils are, well, one, they're faster now because Black Sword also gives +5 to each of Cecil's physical stats and taking away 5 willpower.
Mm-hmm.
And Callum didn't get any faster, so he's going to be getting even fewer turns. Oh, it looks like he didn't throw a Black Sword on his middle Cecil.
Yeah, looks to be trying. Oh, Rydia with the Mage Masher throwing out 5 hundo up in here.
Rydia showing that there's a reason why she's expected to carry the damage in early game with Cecil, but Ashura, not Lifelock, doesn't have a Star Veil up, so heals the full damage, but it's only a small amount of damage, and there's LockeColeLive switching to the Black Sword, getting a Star Veil up.
Yeah, very likely going to have sufficient damage to break through this time.
Going from 68 to 70 damage on Cecil to 290, yeah, that's a big improvement.
Rydia, however, the Mage Masher Mute Knife doesn't give a whole lot of accuracy, and thus not being in that middle spot, she's going to have very variable damage. You know, we had that hit for nearly 500, next one was only about 180. I mean, she's contributing now in a meaningful way she wasn't the first time through. But yeah, definitely a very swingy kind of weapon to equip.
I mean, isn't that what we always do with a knife?
No, sometimes you use a piercing motion, sometimes you use a slashing, sometimes you do with a full swing. Yeah, there's a... I thought you were used to stabbing things.
I'm used to knives just going swish, swish.
Swish, swish? Okay.
And getting through the Ashura fight, though, I'm going to need to pay attention to how long that Star Veil's staying up, knowing that that Star Veil's still on Dark Knight Cecil and getting ready Ashura down this time, so that is a big relief for LockeColeLive. That is going to get him access to Paladin Cecil, assuming that the Crystal Chamber is not something exceedingly rude.
Yeah, this is really good for LockeCole. This kind of puts him in the driver's seat going forward this seed. Getting the 2 Paladin Cecils, even if you're not really anchoring with one of them at this point in the game, just having a lightsaber, having a defense sword, getting these really strong endgame weapons live is going to just put the pedal to the metal and let him accelerate through these remaining overworld fights.
Yes. The difference between Paladin Cecil and Dark Knight Cecil is massive. Paladin Cecil, if he does 400 damage because, oh yeah, I've got, a weak ice brand on him or something. Dark Knight Cecil does 300 damage. Good job, Dark Knight Cecil. You are contributing to the team, and I believe you are a worthy member to have for these 20 minutes.
Marty in the chat saying, I wish there was a visual indication that a Star Veil ran out. As long as you don't have other status elements on the character that have like higher display priority, you can always go to your item menu and queue up any kind of curative or healing item, and then it will show that wall status next to the character's name once you go to choose. The tricky thing here is that when you do this, you are likely losing time in your fight. And if enough ticks pass after you peek at it, well, it could still drop off in the meantime. But if you have a general idea, you just want to make sure it's still up at least while you're queuing the spell up, that is one way to go take a quick look-see and make sure.
Yep. Meanwhile, LockeColeLive making good use of the notice that he's picked up. Pick them up to go and augment damage for those party full of Dark Knight Cecils. Does 400 damage to Rubicon here, so takes him out in one swing and 2 notices.
Ruby, you're on notice.
How did I know you were going to say that?
Yeah, because you wanted to say it and didn't.
If you knew that, why did you go and take it away from me and then?
I mean, I'm a monster.
Okay, that's fair.
So yeah, we see these swords coming out, the lightsaber and defense sword. We don't have either Cecil back row glitched right now. It would not surprise me to see those bow and arrows come off of Sid. Or, never mind, whatever. Ain't got time for that. Cecil, you're in the front.
Don't have enough spots to go and keep everyone in the back row anyway, so just... why would we worry about this? Just keep Cecil in the front row. He can go and apply swords to faces.
Yeah, well, he'll soon be giving that D-Mist a close shave, although the lightsaber will only do half damage, but the defense sword, not actually a holy sword, will do full. And then we'll finally get to see who that second Baron Inn fight is, as well as if we're going to be picking up Porum. I think the party's going to be real hard-pressed not to take Porum at this point.
I agree. Who do you give up for Porum, to be entirely honest?
Probably Rydia. We've not seen anything really spicy for her. If we'd gotten, say, the Sylph summon on Hobbs, maybe. But the fact that we got the Cockatrice summon, eh?
I do believe Xudmud managed to find a Sylph summon in a shop somewhere, but I agree. Sylph is really good, but long-term Rydia is just really behind.
Yeah. I mean, there's a chance you ditch your Sid here. I kind of like him just being a beefy wall of HP, and also being able to equip, decent mid-tier weapons. Plague here. This is convenient that Plague is super slow, because even that anchoring Cecil can get a Starveil off in time. That means Plague will take every turn, say, wait, you don't have count on, and just repeatedly cast it.
Yep. Seems like LockeCole might be going and trying to let Count or Plague reflect kill himself, but this might go and take a little bit because you have to wait for that Starveil to come off. So starting in on damage. Don't blame him.
Yeah, about 4,000 HP at the spot, and gonna be getting double damage from Sid with the bow and arrow. So I see no reason not to just attack here.
Yeah, and that Cecil's doing some damage. 400 damage is certainly nothing to sneeze at, and Sid doing another 600. Cal being able to pull out 600 with some level 2 spells. This is not going to take too long.
Yeah, landing an 848 on an arrow crit. There we go. Plague is down.
You just count on damage to take out Plague, even if agility and count itself won't.
And Artemis arrows, oh baby. You thought Sid was doing good damage now. Artemis arrows, the strongest arrow in the game by a landslide, with a bonus quadruple damage versus dragons. But yeah, ditching the Sid here. I'm surprised, because again, Locke's Rydia not actually doing anything meaningful for this team. This is kind of being a little wishful thinking, or you're planning on grinding to way high levels later in the game.
Yeah, and looks like he's planning to go and use both Cecils, so if you're playing fair with agility with Cecil, Sid's really slow.
Yeah.
It's easy to go and say he's just not worth keeping around because he'll do worse physical damage than Cecil and also take turns a lot slower, so not too hard for me to go and get behind getting rid of Cecil, though I do agree that getting rid of Rydia probably the better choice.
Yeah. Chat's over here trying to justify Rydia's presence with the warp glitch, which I guess is fine, but pretty much every race I've seen of this, folks just popped a few sirens, and then they had warp on their Palom. But do you like Artemis bows? Wait, there's more! Call in the next 24 hours, and we will include one Artemis bow. Forget spell casting, you gotta go fast, you gotta be strong. You have to pew-pew every dragon in the face. Artemis bows, by the maker of Artemis arrows.
Now if we find the heroine robe, we can go and turn either that Rydia or the Porum into a pure Berserker melee character.
Okay, also, if the plan is Zerker Rydia, I'm on board with the Rydia cape.
Ooh, this is one thing that's easy to do when you kill this dragon in an early spot. Okay, saving, going back to his airship, I was going to say that LockeColeLive is forgetting to check Threemus.
Oh, wait. Maybe this will be the heroine robe that we were just talking about. Oh, don't land on... Okay, now I'm really hoping it's a package. I love seeing people get punished for parking on the left whenever it is the package, because I'm mean.
Masamune! So we have a Murasame and Masamune not even needing to go to the moon for them. That's That's free, right? We totally go and have an edge in the party to use.
I mean, at this point, suddenly a vanilla edge would be very spicy to find along this hook route.
Yep, I do agree. Vanilla Edge would be a significant add to this party just because, well, Edge allows you to steal Sirens, which is a way to grind. We have not seen Tella, who is one of the other ways to grind when you definitely, absolutely need a Darkness Crystal, so wouldn't feel bad about seeing him either, especially since we've already done Ordeals.
Now, of course, doing the all-important inventory management boss, we got all this junk in our trunk. Let's clean it out and make sure we have, ooh, nice, Dragoon shields. First of all, neither of these Cecils are wearing a shield to start with. These will give them elemental resist to fire, ice, and lightning, and any shield at all gives you additional evade and magic evade multipliers. So, fantastic little purchase here. I like the investment. I really do.
And it gives them Dragon Resistance, which is, well, it'll matter against the D-Lunars because D-Lunars are still Dragon-type enemies. Their punches will go and hit half as hard against anyone wearing Dragon Resistance gear. So, there are worse things.
Hear me out. Alt Gauntlet at the Vanilla Masamune altar.
In-venue monster. Don't get my hopes up for that. I don't want to be disappointed. That's so far away.
What do you want to bet, like, if they see that, they go, nope, like someone just turns around and goes right to the giant instead. It's like, never mind. Never mind, I take it back.
I mean, I imagine they're going to go to the giant anyways, because Masamune Altar, that's right down in the Lunar Core. You can go straight to Threemus after that.
Oh, can you? Oh, great.
Can and should are two different words.
Yeah.
You can absolutely go. I mean, look, if you get through the Alt Gauntlet, you're probably going to have so much experience, Romus is going to look and say, can I forfeit?
And we do find Hourglass 2s for sale here. One of the most powerful J items. Freezes every enemy in the fight that doesn't have the boss bit for pretty much longer than you will ever need. LockeCole picks up a stack of 4 of them. That'll take care of Trap Chest shenanigans. Does not check the weapon or armor shop. Curious. But this will take... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if he's not looking for cursed rings, then you can see skipping armor. I mean, again, his Cecils are incredibly under-equipped, so maybe he would just want to get something like karate shirts or black belts. The Rune Axe I find cheeky after, hey, you know the Ashura that you went through to get into this cave?
Yep.
There's an axe that can do bonus damage against them.
Xudmud giving that same Asura fight another run. Has the double star veil set up going on. Well, I thought, was that a direct Ice 2 cast? Dragoon armor in one of the interior chests here. These Cecils are suddenly looking on samurai gloves. Yeah, alright. I think our Cecils are about to be fully loaded in heavy armor.
I think they're going to be able to go and increase that defense a bit, but also we did find a Dwarf Axe, which is another way to back row those Cecils. Or if you're up for some agility manipulation shenanigans that takes off 5 agility, that's something that can be very helpful when trying to go and finesse your Zeromus fight. Switching to the Rune Axe, which strong weapon, low accuracy, and unlike the Poison and Ogre Axe, it doesn't go and do bonus damage against giant type enemies, which the Stelmen are. Also, coffins don't work on Stelmen because the game does not like you.
I mean, the implication is they are constructs, they are golems, and, you can't insta-kill. Look, I don't know. I don't know what, janky D&D logic the designers chose to apply here, but that's my headcanon.
All I'm going to say is that these 3,000 experienced enemies are surprisingly rude, because if they get hits off on you, they can put you to sleep. And
well, they aren't going to be doing anything with that hourglass in place.
Time was not on their side, and there's 2,000 experience because LockeColeLive got 1 life glitch off. Enough to get Palin Virus, so that's not the worst thing to get.
Yeah, and LockeCole does have that Rune Axe equipped, which will do quadruple damage to the Mad Ogre chest in the next area.
Yep, very true. I'm getting a couple silver apples, so almost doubling Orm's life, which Orm's a character, right? How long you keep her is going to be dependent on how desperate you are to have a white mage, I think.
Yeah, and with this setup, I mean, we've not seen who our fights are further in.
Yep.
Swapping over to the lightsaber, even though that drops the damage a little bit. If you're gonna put on the little reedy things, read them. They're there to help. Defense sword's so good.
It's I mean, it's 1 damage less than Kane's white spear and better accuracy. Hey, look, Edward. Do we want to go and keep Edward on the seat?
I mean, do we not?
We haven't seen Odin. Edward can be kind of good against Odin, I guess. And we see a Lunar Sparkle. I don't think there's any way for it to be Wyvern, so we are left with Ogopogo and D-Lunars, and because we've already seen Hildim and Plague.
Yep, that's the... You have accounted for all the lunar fights right there.
Well, let's see if LockeCole can get through whichever one it is. Who would you prefer in this situation, Inven?
Oh, I mean, D-Lunars, absolutely. You can just... We have the Dragoon gear to nullify their punches and to half the damage from their flame attack. But how many Star Veils does LockeColeLive have left? We did have our starter deck of them, so to speak, and I'm not sure he purchased that many more in the overworld, but I may have overlooked. And on the other side, Xudmud has made it through Asura. We'll be checking out that leg in a minute and getting underground access along with Paladins. A very valuable ordeals.
Yes, that's even if it wasn't required for the objectives or the way underground, there is no way you could be doing the seed with the party you have and out doing ordeals. Paladin Cecil is just too important.
Yeah. As for the boss, yeah, these lunars will be significantly easier, provided our runners know bog strats. If it is Ogopogo, that would... Like, I like trolls and seeds, but I think that's even a little too mean.
It's so harsh. It is probably my least... Ogopogo is probably my least favorite fair boss to fight there, because Kanazo, there's some technical setups you can... I'm glad it's actually not Kanazo. Power Shirt is also a nice pickup here. But
yeah, the Power Shirt actually makes me kind of excited, because Power Shirt, Defense Sword, throw a Zerk on one Cecil, let the other one cover your Porum, and her keep curing. And I think even Ogopogo's manageable here.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you there, because while Ogopogo is rude, punches hard, and does that big wave for either double big wave for 50% of your HP or 25% of your HP, just keeping 2 characters alive is a lot more manageable to cure too. Also, a Sorcerer Robe makes people a lot more tanky, because that's a very good piece of endgame gear.
Absolutely. +5 to both the light and dark magic stats. And just really good magic defense and magic evade. Fantastic fun. I think if this is Ogopogo, I would, take that bow, back row glitch both my Cecils, put them in the back row with Porum. One Zerks for the kill, the other one covers Porum, and Porum does Cure 2s, and you just worry about keeping the 3 of them up. The Cure 2 split 3 ways won't be so hard, won't be so bad, and just leave all that damage in the hands of one well-equipped Cecil and the other one on true tank duty.
A Crystal Ring. That's a nice pickup. That is a very high defense item. Finding Darkham's here, not the worst fight. Those Hourglasses are going to do a fair amount of work. Just need to make sure the person who throws it survives long enough to throw it. Because if you queue up using an item and the person dies, well, bye-bye item.
The board face AI does not come crashing down on Rydia before she can throw the Hourglass. This fight's in the bag. You think we're going to see a safety save between fights?
Ooh. I know I would.
Absolutely. Ogo here can go awry so quickly. And here's the other thing, with the vanilla agility, I don't exactly know how my team's turn orders are gonna go here.
Yep.
And it can take sometimes, one or two resets to finally get the flow of combat going in your favor.
Yes. Do you want to know what else I would do here? I would start Porum with the Artemis bow, because agility is set at the start of the fight, and if you change it mid-fight, it doesn't actually change your relative agility, so you can cheat a little bit and make your white mage faster by giving her an Artemis bow that you immediately take off, because that thing still takes away 10 of each casting stat.
Oh, very nice. And that crystal ring, in the event this is, well, it's not D-Lunars. If it had been D-Lunars, the crystal ring on her would give dragon defense, so she would also be tanking the punches fairly nicely from the back row.
We are not getting a nice seed today. We are getting the mean seed.
That is rude. And I'm curious about this setup. We are going for a high agility anchor Cecil in the middle.
That is definitely aggressive, because high agility is hard to go and deal with in these spots. You usually want to keep it lower to give yourself a bigger advantage, or at least mitigate the boss's advantage, but if you can go and shift the boss over from relative agility 1 to relative agility 2, that could go and help significantly.
But yeah, this is going to be a huge roadblock this seed. I'll go ahead and say, if either racer gets through the Ogopogo fight first try, I will be very impressed. This is so nasty. Well played by our restreamer and the seed roller tonight.
Oh yeah, this is... Hey, you know those 1000 HP Cecils? Let's go and take their HP down to 500. Oh, and your Porum, let's go and just simply let her take a nap, and good night. Yeah, the other thing you don't like about Ogopogo, he goes and counters magic with Blaze, because why would you go and do something like... Why wouldn't you do something like that?
Yeah. The problem here, though, is I think LockeCole is also still rocking Battle Speed 1, which is danger. When you can't get your first action off before Ogopogo has already waved and punched your Porum to death, you're in rough shape.
Yes, that is... losing turn, like, Battle Speed 1 is used because it's fast, it's really good. You also can't humanly go and get on your inputs fast enough for it to actually not lose turns to your enemy. When the enemy is Ogopogo, who's doing a lot of mean things, it's really harsh. Also, LockeColeLive is just burning through these Hero 2s. Yeah, lifing up Porum now. That is... Definitely don't go and disagree with that move, because you need Porum. Porum needs to go and start healing. I think I saw a life staff in his inventory, and that would be a big boost for Porum, because plus 15 willpower, that's a lot more healing.
Yeah, and I love your suggestion, again, with the Artemis Bow opener, and then flip over.
I have done a lot of shenanigans with that, and that is one of my favorites of, yes, let me cheat any fair agility I ever have to play, because, let's be honest, I like relative agility 1. If I had 2 Cecils, one of them would be going and napping in the ground with a Dwarf Axe, and the other would go and have as much good gear as I possibly could manage.
Yeah, but now LockeCole looking to maybe have stabilized a little bit here, but the problem is your Cecil can only cover one character at a time, and well, if they're not weakened. If they're in near-death status, he'll cover one, but you can't cover Porum if you're already covering Wrestle.
Yeah.
And now we're at a point where, although the punches aren't hurting the Cecil for pretty much anything, super well-defended back row Cecil. Problem is, the big wave does not care about your defense. You do get a magic evade roll on it, but that is HP base, and it hurts.
Yeah, it's real hard to go and evade that. And yeah, at Battle Speed 1, this is... Yeah, there is a reset.
And we have Nope Noodle 1, and our racers currently 0. Normally we do this for like a Pain Man count at King Queen Evelyn, but again, this is gonna be real nasty. I don't think LockeCole changed his setup at all there, and I don't think he even re-equipped some of the stuff he had set up, like that life staff.
Yeah, that's this is going to be a very rude fight. It's going to be a very hard fight, and one big thing, we are so used to going and being able to do relative agility 1 fights all the time, because we don't have vanilla agility on. We go in and just say, all right, I'm just going to kill off a character. Like, Rydia's a great character to pick her up because she starts with 4 agility. And almost everyone is relative agility 1 with Rydia in your party after, like, 5 or 6 levels. Here, though, Cecil is our anchor. Cecil's speedy. Cecil is not slow at all.
Yeah. But we do have the setup now to where that Cecil is covering Porum. She will not die to a punch as long as that middle Cecil never defends and also doesn't himself fall into near death status. There we go. Cure 2 came out at a good time.
Yep.
Setup's looking a little better this time. I think it may actually be good for LockeCole for the Rydia and Palom to take dives here. Oh. Okay. So LockeCole just got very lucky that Ogopogo said, no, you don't get to cast Quake. Or else having a big wave for 50% and a blaze for 25 would not have gone very well.
Yes. Granted, Blaze is Ice Elemental, and I think the middle Cecil does have the Dragoon shield on, so that would just be 10%, but that's still 10% more damage you don't want to go and be taking.
Yeah, absolutely. But the setup's looking a little better now. The kind of concern is running out of Cure 2s. Any punches that get thrown at middle Cecil or Porum will basically only do 1 damage. Risk casting slow, eating the extra damage for it.
I don't disagree with this move. Slow is... It's going to go and hurt short term, but long term it is very necessary sometimes. In fights where I've had to go and do this Ogopogo fight fairly, I have gone and accepted, yes, I'm going to take 75% of my health and damage in the opening turns to get a Silco off because I need to go and cut down on Ogopogo's turns. He is just completely destroying me otherwise. And Cecil and Wrestle is going down. Fessel is going to be real close to going down. Getting a Cure 2 off, that might be enough to bring Fessel back into covering Porum. You can take this time to recover. That was a double big wave, so there's going to be 3 swings between this set, but we're already on the second swing, and we need to get some healing up. Healing Wrestle, getting him up to full health.
The big thing I'm worried about right now is the size of that Cure 2 stack.
Yes, you start with 10 to 15-ish, and they're great to have, but you can burn through them really easily on a rough fight like this. I make it a high priority to pick up a stack of 20 to 40 of these things. One, because of situations like this where I just don't want to worry about running out of Cure 2s and losing in-combat healing. The other, because I like using them for out-of-combat healing. Oh, and Wrestle goes down again.
I admit I've not seen every match this tournament. Anyone who has, power to you. But this is definitely looking like the nastiest opener to a seed I've seen. We're going to be hard for us to get underground sub-hour even. This is...
Agreed. This is... Yeah, I agree. This is... Ugh. Going and switching over to casting Cure 2 with Fessel, I like that because you're running low on those potions, you might need a faster cure at some point, and you're healing for about the same amount, so not the worst thing. Porum is... I'm curious as to how much longer Porum's MP is going to hold out, because here's another big wave, and you need to do a fair amount of healing now. Ooh, and front row Cecil blocking the back row Cecil, not what you want to have happen.
I will note, by the way, and this is a little subtle, Xudmud has done something very important, that although the Dark Imps are really giving him a run for his money right now, he did turn his battle speed down to 4. Which, well, I'm not going to get through this fight. I don't think he looted Eblin Cave and got all that heavy armor that LockeCole did. Also, I don't think bought those Dragoon shields.
And he also has the Mad Ogre chest, it looks like, because his Cecils are level 11. And,
yeah, level 11 ain't gonna... that's not gonna work.
Yeah, and Porum is base level as well, so...
Yeah, if you were to do proper agility shenanigans here, you could get the Hourglass off in time. But, yeah.
Yes.
Definitely going to need to grind out some levels here, but the Battle Speed 4 will do really good things against the Ogopogo fight, at least.
Yes, that is something that's going to be very important, though. Level 11 Cecil is going to struggle mightily against it. The Crystal Ring will do a lot. I don't know if LockeColeLive equipped it on anyone, but right, he did equip it on his middle Cecil. His middle Cecil is faster, and not to your benefit in an anchoring situation, but it does help explain why Fessel is taking 1 point of damage every single hit.
But yeah, right now Xudmud just really does not have the levels for this. In vanilla, these fights are done after you've already completed your first visit to the underground. These happen when you are ready to fight Rubicante for realsies, and to be level 10, 11 with the team, and then your only characters really high past that are Hallam and Rydia. It's rough. It's dangerous.
I agree. Oh, and Horum is now out of MP, and it looks like the damage Cecil went down, trying to get Galomi up to throw out a Quake, but this is going to be really rough.
Xudmud, it looks like trying to speed that anchor up again. That is the opposite direction you want to go here. You really want that, like, given that Dwarf Axe we saw, this would be so much easier if Xudmud did go back, found that Dwarf Axe, anchored with the Dwarf Axe, sped up the other Cecil with the Crystal Ring, and then probably gets the Hourglass off, no trouble. Also, there's something to be said for being in the back row at the start of the fight, taking half damage instead of full damage from the Imps.
Yeah, those Cecils could survive a hit, and LockeCole needs to take another reset to Ogopogo.
That is 2 for Ogo. Super nasty, super rude.
And looking to just leave, I don't blame him. These fights are not going his way. He needs more supplies. There is a time to go and just fight your losses and say, I can't do this, I need to leave and resupply. This is the time to do it. That was a long, grueling attempt. He didn't finish. I don't know how close he was, but he needs to go and get something to help him out. Either a more Cure 2 potion, some ethers to go and keep Form going. What would you be looking for in shops?
Well, definitely Cure 2s at minimum. I would also definitely be considering going the other way on my agility situation here. I would like my cover Cecil to open with the Dwarf Axe equipped, and then my Zerking Cecil maybe to have the Crystal Ring, or at least my Porum to have the Crystal Ring. That middle Cecil, if his main job is covering, he doesn't need to be taking too many turns. He's getting hit for 1 damage a pop. You want your Porum taking care of the healing. That Life Staff does great things. Maybe a Trap Chest here has a White Shirt to also complement it. Life Staff plus White Shirt. And all of a sudden, those heals are coming out just enormously to keep the team sustained.
Yep. And Xudmud getting really, really not nice things happening to him in this random encounter and taking a reset. And LockeCole is going into Evelyn Castle and is coming to the Mad Ogre chest he found previously and saying, "Hi, give me XP." Xudmud also going back. I don't blame him. He might be going for the Mad Ogre chest. He might just be going to find... Yep, he's going looking around in chests. He's going to try and find the Mad Ogres, maybe. It is impossible to have gone into this fight without a Cecil anchor. And from what we've seen so far, the lowest agility you can get your Cecil down to is if you keep that base level, getting him to 8 agility. And that is really hard to level to anchor with, because if you want to be relative agility 1, you need to go and be at 20. Over 20 agility.
Well, also, did our racers check every single armor shop? I'm not sure they did. This is only S standard. Curse rings can be sold in ungated stores. Like, LockeCole didn't even look at the weapon or armor shop in Evelyn. I'm not sure if Xudmud did.
Yep, that's very true. That is something that Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise is definitely a harder version of Final Fantasy IV, because you can be put into these situations of, I need to go and kill Ogopogo, a moon boss, at the Rubicante spot before I have access to the underground and any real experience.
LockeCole gets a few extra bits of experience and a Dragoon Spear by taking down the triple Mad Ogre chest.
There are worse things to find, but there's also better things to find, like equipment for characters actually in your party. And Xudmud is looting parts of the Evelyn Cave and finding that dwarf axe, so maybe he'll be able to make use of this. LockeColeLive finding another counter, finding the Sailman chest, which definitely not the worst thing to find. Oh, Sailman Skull, excuse me.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like LockeCole's general idea here. Let's take care of all three of these trap chests. One, we get more XP to help prepare us a little bit further. And two, maybe we get a crystal sword that just lets our, melee Cecil tear through things.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get pretty much anything in these. They don't have the highest drop rates just because it's kind of balanced in a way that makes places you don't want to go more likely, places you do want to go less likely.
Oh, Bahamut would be tempting, except blaze counters.
Yeah, that's not what you want for Ogopogo, but that definitely gives you some good grinding options. I mean, if you want to, you open pretty much any fight in Upper Babel with Cecil already in a state of covering Rydia, and then you just let Rydia go pew 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 pew. I mean, although Quake's already kind of doing that for us, I suppose.
Yeah.
But here's the tricky thing. Here's the nasty thing, Baka. Grinding out levels here may very well make your fight harder.
Mm-hmm.
What level does Porum learn Cure 3?
31? No, like 39. It's something disgusting. It's like 39. I'm actually going to look that up.
Yeah, and all that you accomplish... Ooh, a free Holy Lance, by the way. As you level these characters up, the big wave does more damage, and Cure 2's healing doesn't really scale appropriately.
Yeah, that is Ogopogo is probably my favorite design boss just because of how disgustingly rude that is. He does physical damage, so you can't just go and cover. Well, so you can't just go and rely on magic healing, but he also goes and does that big wave of HP-based damage, so you can't just rely on physical coverage either.
And just to confirm, Porum learns Cure 3 at level 33. I hope you weren't planning on going to bed early tonight, Baka. We might be seeing a grind to level 33 here.
That might go and give the Cecils enough agility to start taking equal turns into Ogopogo.
Xudmud does find a dwarf axe for sale. Not sure if he picked up the one that LockeCole did in Cave Evelyn. That does make for a little bit of better anchoring possibilities here. But, a lot of anchoring, especially when you have Cecil involved, is really advanced tech that putting it into play for this fight especially can be real tricky to pull off.
Yes, that is something where you start out playing Final Fantasy IV and understanding that, yes, this is an ATB. I get turns, the enemies get turns. When you start playing Free Enterprise, you start learning, I can manipulate how well people are getting turns based on an anchor. When you get really good at this, like maybe may or not be, master's level degree that you could have earned, you'll understand exactly how much agility you need on your anchor to go and shift your enemies from relative agility 2 or 3 to 4 or 5 maybe, and keep maximizing the relative agility for your team. Because that Artemis Bow shenanigan I mentioned is definitely not beginner tech. That is something you go and it's really not obvious that the game doesn't go and change your battle speed based or your turns based on your agility changing in mid-combat. If you go and just abuse that, you can go and do a number of things like increase Porum's speed so she goes faster, or increase your attacking Cecil's speed so he can go and start off with that Artemis Bow, switch to a melee weapon, berserk him, and just let him take extra turns, because plus 10 agility does make a lot of difference on that front. Worst Mr. Bus Driver. Agility in Final Fantasy IV is based on math. But back into this fight, having gone and taken those fights in Evelyn Castle, has a bit more stuff. Definitely goes and is a bit closer. Has Link, but with a covering Cecil, you don't really need that. And with a Wrestle, gonna go and just be starting the Zerk train and getting going. Throwing an illusion on Rydia, I don't like this for the reason you mentioned. You don't want Rydia and Callum up because they're going to be eating up your healing, and you really need that healing on Wrestle and Cecil because they're the ones who are going to be doing a lot of the work.
Yeah, I definitely think that here you really want to back row glitch your Cecils. Use that Dwarf Axe, get them back row glitch, make it to where Wrestle is also not taking meaningful damage here. Make it to where you don't have to worry about doubling up on the healing him if he takes a punch that puts him right below half health, you know?
Yeah.
And the back row glitch would accept that. Just sacrifice your black mages. What is your black mage going to do in the Ogopogo fight? That's really not going to just, hurt you yourself.
Exactly. That's another part of Free Enterprise that is easy to go and overlook, where sometimes you have to accept some of your characters are not helping you this fight, and they are better off staying on the ground to let other characters, once you get to their turns easier, so you're not going and spending time manually trying to get back to the turns and losing turns to Ogopogo. And two, you're not losing healing. This is Ogopogo is a real cutthroat fight, and you need to go and be just as cutthroat back.
We have an Artemis Bow Bahamut being queued up.
Oh.
I think we're going to get some relatively disappointing damage, and then Ogopogo will share its ire.
Yeah, that's 2300 is not the number you want to see from a Bahamut cast.
Especially when you're eating this much damage in return.
Yes, that's not advancing you enough to go and really... Again, this is just really... You go and have to look at this fight from a very brutal standpoint. That's not advancing your game enough to be worth the damage you're taking. You have to go and you have to do something else.
Well, on the bright side, Ogopogo is helping out a little bit here, knocking Rydia down, saying basically, don't do that again. But this Quake is ill-timed, happening right after the other things. And we are down to a Cecil on his last legs, and that is 3 for Ogopogo. The Nope Rope taking no prisoners tonight.
Yeah, this is Hook Seeds can get really rude, and T Wildish can do a lot, but Ogopogo will laugh in your face because of that big wave damage. He will go and punch hard. That big wave is just going to say, guess who has Kira 2, and guess who is taking damage that Kira 2 is not very good at dealing with.
Mr. Bus Driver asking in chat, was there a Drain Sword? Not seen a Drain Sword, but we did find a Dwarf Axe, and we saw them for sale as well.
Yep, so the Dwarf Axe can definitely help. That's one of the two. Drain Swords and Dwarf Axes can give -5 agility. Well, Drain Swords give -5 to every stat. Dwarf Axe goes and gives +5 strength and -5 agility and is long range. Good for a few things. The two things we really care about are the fact that it's long range, so you can back row glitch, and that gives -5 agility because it's really good for helping anchor. But yeah, this is a fight that you really need to go and know. You need to know a lot of things for this fight, to be entirely honest. You have to go and know, what is my Artemis Bow doing for me right now? Who do I have it on? Who's it helping the most? It's giving Rydia more turns, but Rydia isn't exceptional. Okay, doing 1,000 damage is definitely not the worst thing Rydia has done this fight. Or, let me put it this way. Doing almost 1,000 damage without triggering your Blaze counter is definitely not the worst thing Rydia could do this fight. What is my Artemis Bow doing? Is it helping my damage? If I want to cast Bahamut, I have to go and factor that in. There's a lot of calculus you can go and do for these types of fights when you're going and dealing with, again, a late-game enemy in a mid-game spot when you have only done early game, you only have early game experience.
So Xudmud here, seeking out new resources, scouring the planet, trying to find something that'll put these things on the table. It's kind of funny, like I am worried that LockeCole will end up overgrinding, but Xudmud I think is still fairly underleveled for what we're facing. And there is the Cursed Ring, finding it in the Troya armor shop. We're an hour 12 minutes into this race, and if LockeCole doesn't get through Ogopogo this time, I really think this Cursed Ring can bring Xudmud back all the way through here.
I agree.
Gonna need a little more oomph to deal with Ogo, but just being on even footing with the turns is going to make such a difference.
I agree. And Xudmud is just looking for the awful choice of what do I sell? What do I sell? I believe you have a preferred choice for that.
Sorry, what?
Looking at, yeah, I'm seeing 2 cat claws in his inventory. I'm thinking you sell those.
Yes, cat claws. Shoo, off with you now. Have you seen a Yang? No. But that's the thing, like, that's one of the things that eventually you play enough and you really get to where just because something seems good on the label, it has a price tag, it doesn't mean it's going to meaningfully change your outcome now. But there are other things that will, and that's where you need to be investing.
One thing I'm noticing about Xudmud is he has his anchor cecil in the wrong position. Very easy to do because I've done this in my own practices where I've gone and I have 2 cecils. I am anchoring with one of them, and I am going and putting the other one in a specific slot. And then I forget, oh, I need to go and move this anchor cecil. I move to the cecil who's actually doing something into a different slot and not move my anchor, and my anchor is no longer anchoring. But speaking of no longer, Ogopogo is no longer blocking the way underground. LockeColeLive is through and to the underground.
Finally, 4th time's the charm. Take that snake down. And a lot of options on the plate now, and it's going to come down to Xudmud to get through here in fewer tries to catch back up. But like you said, so many options underground, any number of places we can go. Let's see which way LockeCole takes it.
Indeed, it's a race to the darkness crystal still, and to answer a question from chat, how does it determine which cecil is the anchor? It is the cecil in the highest priority slot. The slot priority goes middle, top, bottom, middle top, middle bottom. If you go and look at your character screen or the save screen, the party order, your middle spot is the person who's first, then the top is second, etc., etc. That is the party order. It's not very apparent because, again, Final Fantasy Board loves just not explaining things. But you have the underground to your disposal. Where do you go? What's your first choice? Invent.
I just want to take a deep breath, recollect my thoughts. I want to go ahead and check my 2 freebies. I want to do Feymarch 1 and Sheila 1, because I'm feeling a little frustrated after that. Now, you may be tempted, and this could be what's happening here. We may be seeing just for Siren checks, wanting to get levels going on. Could be planning to just make a break for Dwarf Castle to get your wart glitch out of the way. You may want to gamble a little bit. You may feel really far behind and think, I have to do something, wild and out of left field to catch back up. But I think that you're probably a bit tilted, and tilting away, a bad situation into a worse one is extremely dangerous. Just go for a nice flight, walk through some dungeons, go visit the wife, and then decide what you're doing next.
And LockeCole choosing to shop, going and finding Bacchus wines in Dwarf Castle, that's a good pickup for this team because you want to go and get some Zerks going faster than Porm because Porm needs to do double duty of Zerking and healing. Cutting out one of those jobs, you feel a lot better about.
That's true. We do see a tent going down, which implies we're going to make a run at these bosses. Probably wouldn't heal if you were about to go walk on a whole bunch of damage tiles, so...
Yep, and throwing a Mute Dagger on Rydia, going to go and take her from -10 wisdom to +5 wisdom. Gonna go make that Bahamut a little bit better. We'll see who our fight here is.
Well, we've already seen Kaipo guards, so we know this is the Baron guards. I think LockeCole still has... Does LockeCole still have an hourglass, or did he burn them all?
I think he might have burned them all in the trap chest, but maybe he still has one left. I do not have perfect count on that.
Well, the Rune Axe will do quadruple damage here. Quake will nearly finish them off. Now that Rydia has 20 more wisdom than her previous casting. Oh, there is 1 hourglass left, so fight's free. Nothing to worry about here. Gonna burn them down with spells.
Such a nice change from that Ogopogo fight who enjoyed turning you into mulch.
Quake, not quite enough. About 4,500 apiece here. But we've got a dragon.
Say hello to the big summon. The reason why all the moon bosses have counters to summon.
Yeah, that's a lot better than the roll against Ogopogo. You love to see it.
It's a real good feeling. Hey, Paladin learned War. That's kind of nice to see. You can get rid of Rydia if you don't want her anymore.
Well, I think with that Bahamut summon, LockeCole is going to commit to the Rydia bit.
Ah.
Xudmud does get through the Dark Imps this time, heading back to that save point, and reasonably so.
Yeah, it's really hard to disagree with Xudmud saving here because he spent a lot of time in this fight. Ooh, hella.
Spicy. But LockeCole says no thanks. This is kind of interesting to me, because we've not seen Sirens for the... Which, I mean, odds are they'll be in one of, the 3 remaining shops. One of the other 2 underground ones are at the Hummingway shop on the moon. But Tella enables those grinds like no other character does.
And you gotta go to the giant anyways. So I would definitely prefer to D-Machine grind to just blow through a bunch of levels, not have to go and spend a lot of money, which you've been spending a lot of money so far this deed. You've been going hitting a lot of chests. Getting the levels you're going to want for taking on Giant and then taking on the Masamune altar, you might rather go and save that for some equipment for the Cecils who are still a little bare.
And Xudmud is challenging Ogopogo at Ruby with what appear to be those level 11 Cecils in a base level port. I think grinding will 100% be in order here to make progress. LockeCole had to take a lot of extra fights, get a lot of extra levels, a lot of extra gear, and although the curse string helps, I don't think it's going to be quite sufficient on its own without a little bit of oomph behind it.
Yeah. Also,
burn an hourglass, get an hourglass. Slightly less lengthy of one, but still nice. And Warp Lich giving the Baron key. I would be hesitant to chase this until I find a Luca key elsewhere, just because although we can Warp Lich, the logic does not account for that, because there's no guarantee you're going to have the Warp spell here. I would delay that Baron check until I find something that would say, hey, Sealed Cave was available.
Only reason I can think of to go and Blitz Baron is you really, really want another character check. But I agree. Let's go and we got some stuff underground we can go and check. We've still got the freebie and Fame March, which is just sitting there for you. I mean,
there's Sirens. Never punished for ditching Tella. So the grind is assured. When you said characters, by the way, an Edge would be fantastic. We do still have that Masamune and Murasame kicking around.
Oh yeah, and if you're on a vanilla agility, Edge gets good agility. Edge gets kind of fast, actually. He's not so bad on vanilla agility, even though I never considered him bad in the first place, but having a fast character who can go and attack quickly, I definitely like that for Edge. But, yep, going to go to the Fame March, turning off flash effects. That is an option in the randomizer where, quality of life feature. You can just simply say, no, I really don't want to go and see all the screen turn white, and then off back to the normal color after I step on one of these tiles. This hurts my eyes too much. Meanwhile, Xudmud is going back into that Ogopogo fight and is... I don't want to accuse someone of tilting at windmills, but he is going to have a very hard time with this fight. Also, I believe his anchor is still in reverse position to be in the proper anchor spot, so that bottom Cecil is not actually contributing with that curse string, unfortunately. I just looked away for a second, so I missed what was in the free chest. The pan! The pan is a great thing to go and find in that free chest because we're getting closer to 10 key items. Darkness Crystal is obviously preferred because that's your go mode, and you can just go. Don't go and do anything else. Go to your objectives and find a way to grind through and get through them. But the pan can go and get you another 2 key items on its own, and you can roll it into another check with the Sheila 1 check, so you could pick up 3 key items off this, and that is not a bad thing at all.
Oh yeah, it will not surprise me to very likely see Darkness Crystal and thus be in go mode. Well, theoretical go mode.
Inven, do you believe the seed is going to be so kind as to give our runners the Darkness Crystal behind the pan when we see a Lunar Sparkle and Valvalis in the Fey March? We still haven't seen Wyvern, and we have seen no Kane.
Oh, absolutely. The worst is over. You get through that upper Babel check, and everything else is just going to be gravy. It's all fun. We're going to get a Darkness Crystal from one of these 4 checks, and then it's just grind and go, baby.
Inven, I hope you're right, because I'm really hoping that's 1, not a Wyvern at Leviathan spot, and 2, not holding the Darkness Crystal.
Oh, Wyvern at Leviathan with Cecil as your anchor. That would just be... No one has that much power.
If our restreamer Asuka does, remind me to never let Asuka roll a seed for me.
I mean, I kind of wanted to roll all my seeds. I think the nastier the better. They gives you more chances to eke out an advantage.
When you put it like that, that's not the worst thing to go and have, I guess. I've seen Ogopogo at book plenty of times. I hated him every time, but I've seen him there plenty. And hopefully this is a wake-up call to a Stone Daily, because we finally have tracking action to get back to. I imagine they had a very fascinating amount of time while our runners hurt. LockeCole was struggling mighty with that Ogopogo fight, for good reason. It's a really rude fight. It's one that there are a few fights that you remember at blocking the way underground in a hook path. Ogopogo is definitely one of the top ones that you remember. And here we see Xudmud is going and taking random encounters, trying to go and get some levels. Let's hope this goes... resetting here, don't blame him. Back attack with Bad Ogres and Double Quarrel. Yeah, that's a bit harsh. Getting the Tower Key from Sheila 1 and Spoon from the Pan. Pan didn't give anything. He gave a Crystal Sword and a Spoon, but that is 1 more key item, and that Tower Key might send our runners up to a tower, which 1 key item check at the top, 1 key item check behind that Tower Key.
Yeah, and we know the top of Lower Babel has the Dolls fight, and we have both Quake and Bahamut. And we know we have an Hourglass 1 if we're extra worried. So likely 2 free fights to be fought there, if LockeCole so chooses.
Yeah, that's you say free fights. We still haven't seen the Alt Gauntlet yet.
I mean, Quake, Bahamut. Yeah, I'm not worried about the Alt Gauntlet in the Tower Key room either. No. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, you can go in with a party of 1 HP characters, and beyond vanilla agility, so you can't go and instantly cast Quake.
And LockeCole is chasing the Tower Key, perfectly reasonable here. The Baron Key is not actually in logic yet, and those Fey March fights, no thank you.
Yes, and paying attention to where that Baron Key came from is really important when the only thing you need is darkness. If Lugia Key's on the moon, you never have to go to Baron, because the only
Oh.
I'm glad to see you're great at cursing runners, by the way, Inven. This is a nice call. What's the worst thing that could be here? I thought Alt Gauntlet? No. That's clearly that is chump change. Golbez. Guaranteed to kill your party down to 2 standing characters, hold you, and then you have to deal with whatever spells he starts throwing at you.
Yeah. Let's I just don't know. I don't know anymore. This is it's a thing of beauty. I really hope that after this race we post this in Clips and Seeds and say, hey, if you missed the race, play this first.
This is a great seed that everyone should play, and then we find out how many people want to ban us for that.
Luckily, though, Palom had that crystal ring, and thus could not be paralyzed, and thus is able to get a Starvel off. Last Starvel, no problems whatsoever. And it won't take a
Wyvern, but
well, Wyvern could be in Feymarch. No one peeked.
True.
Was it Virus? I will show you how.
Palom showing Cecil's older brother how it's done. Meanwhile, Golba's going and picking on his little brother today, saying, No, I'm the big brother. You stay down.
Now, my next question, though, is what kind of camping supplies does LockeCole have? Because we burned through a lot of items in that, like life potions and cure 2s and stuff in that Ogopogo fight. And now, well, the dolls are relatively free, but you still probably don't want to go in a little too cocky and lose to, dolls murdering your face.
Yeah, the two standing characters are the two standing characters who can cast the big AoE spells. They just might not be okay. Locke does. Oh, he has one, Kevin. That's very helpful.
Hey! Well, isn't that convenient?
Xudmud and the other screen is throwing the firebomb and discovering, yep, Ogopogo counters that too. Ogopogo is probably one of, from a challenge standpoint, he's probably one of my favorite fights from a design standpoint because he counters high HP, he goes and punches to go and make sure you can't just ignore physical damage, and he counters magic with that blaze, so you're being punished if you're just throwing out any spell. You need to make sure whatever you're throwing out is doing a lot of work for you. He's probably one of the best designed bosses in Final Fantasy IV that's not just, hi Wyvern, oh, you Starvel off and you don't die instantly, or certain other things.
I will also note, I'm pretty sure Xudmud has the curse ring on the wrong Cecil. That was the one in slot 5 that just swung with some sort of holy sword for only 100 damage. And I think even the lightsaber should be doing more than that at this point if you're not cursed. But that means that the cursed one is not the anchor. And thus you're slowing them down even more?
Yep.
Oh, I know what's going on here. Yeah, that Cecil is the one I think we saw at exactly 0 agility. So that one Cecil is at relative agility 1. And the other one is at relative agility 5.
I shouldn't. Right. Yes. Because 0 agility just makes you relative agility 1 anywhere. If your anchor is relative agility 0, everyone. Yes, everyone's relative agility 1. Or agility 0, relative agility 1, excuse me. Yeah. Oh, it's an easy detail to mess up on these flags. I've done this too when I'm playing, and yeah, that's it's easy to overlook that and not understand, like, why is my turn order so weird? Why am I getting this Cecil going first? This is the anchor, right? But going back in, that 100 damage swing is just, it's crushing to see. This spot has, how much, 25,000 HP?
Yeah, about 25,000. I can get the exact count on for you right quick. It might be 23. Let's pull up those boss scaling stats just to see what we're dealing with here. I am looking for 1 Ogopogo at 1 Rubicon Day slot. That is 25,200 HP.
Well, we found a Dragoon Spear from Tower Key. I didn't see what was on top of Tower, but it doesn't seem to be the Darkness Crystal because LockeColeLive is going to Baron. And of his checks of the Feymarch fights and Baron, I really have a hard time saying that Baron is the worst choice, even though we know it could logically not be the way to the moon.
I mean, it could be a situation here where the Luca key is at one of those rude Feymarch fights, and this is just the best solution, period.
Yep.
But yeah, logically, it's just those Feymarch fights right now. Ugh.
What a moon boss we don't know which best odds or best situation. D-Lunars.
Yeah, D-Lunars aren't so bad. We have that dragon armor. We would want to find Starveils and buy more, just to get the frog strats enabled. Honestly, not a bad fight. The Val fight, I don't know.
Yep. Worst case scenario, Wyvern at Leviathan. With vanilla agility, 2 Cecils in your party. Hey, look, it's another Nope Noodle, except this is the one that's nice and doesn't go and just make you cry. This is Leviathan. You fight him first in the Feymarch in the King Summon Monster spot. He gives you Leviathan should you beat him. Also, he does 1 big wave and then cast Ice 2 for, I don't want to say pathetic amounts of damage, but much more reasonable amounts of damage than Ogopogo does with pretty much anything Ogopogo does.
I mean, there are some spots, like instantly Leviathan at Ogopogo, all of a sudden the Ice 2s do pretty ridiculous damage, but yeah.
Yeah, the Ogopogo spot is, it doesn't directly cast any spells, but it does have a really beefy magic stat, so any caster there is really mean. If they trade places, that's probably worse than than their vanilla locations by a good margin.
Ooh, we have a Mylon and Friends, or a Mylon Z here.
Mylon Z. This is, you can't Quake him because he's flying to make sure he's immune to Quake in the event that you grind Talon, which is level 23 on Mountain Reveals.
But we do have, I believe, do we still have that lightsaber on Wrestle?
I believe we do.
Well, with Fire 2s coming out, may not even get the turn off. It's looking like we will.
Yep. Hey, guess who's weak to holy damage?
Is it Mylon Z?
Yes, it's Mylon Z. Fun fact, of all the holy swords, most undead are weak to holy, and that's why they take extra damage. But if you ever get a crystal sword in swing hand, Mylon Z, you're probably going to see the quad 9s no matter what you do, and that's because crystal sword is not just a holy sword, it's a holy sword that goes and hits the undead racial vulnerability.
Yep. We do find a Yang here. I'm uncertain if LockeCole kept those cat claws around, but does not want the Yang. If he's not sold them yet, they are on the menu. Power up your cash flows.
Yeah. And Xudmud is not having a good time in this fight. Xudmud is getting punched around a lot.
Yeah, looking at these levels, Xudmud's just way too under-leveled. 2 level 13 Cecils at a fight in vanilla when on a casual playthrough you're mid-20s and you're fighting a boss who's not nearly this nasty. I don't know if, like, on Xudmud's practice seeds, when he's had to do a hook route, he's found enemies that had particular weaknesses that he could take advantage of. But these levels are not going to get you through here with what we're dealing with tonight.
No, these going in at level 20 seems scary sometimes on hook routes, and Ogopogo is the least exploitable boss I can think of outside of Valvalis, Golbez, Wyvern. He has no weaknesses. He pretends to have a thunder weakness, where if you cast thunder on him, he goes and hits you with weak, because Leviathan's weak to thunder, and oh hey, it's the same sprite but recolored. Clearly this is the same, right? No.
And more amazing lances, not a dragoon in sight, just a white lance, just hanging around. So I do like one thing about what LockeCole's doing here. Although this is out of logic and likely will not give the Darkness Crystal, we are up to 9 key items now. And if we do get that 10th key item, all of a sudden Siren grinding is fantastic. You just power up your team, you crush those Feymarch fights. Well, as long as it's not Wyvern and you put yourself in a bad agility situation.
Yeah, if it's Wyvern and you put yourself in a bad agility situation, you have two options. Find a cursed ring, which is for sale. Take that Dwarf Axe, completely nuke one of your Cecil's agility, or do some really complicated math to figure out how to go and put yourself in a much better situation. Either way, they're not fun.
Speaking of situations, without picking up one of those cursed rings at Troya, or without doing a whole lot of grinding, LockeCole's gonna have a hard time dishing out the 20,000 here before Odin comes a swinging.
Yeah, Vanilla Odin still hurts. And Xudmud backing out of the hook rod again, or at least going back up floors. Don't blame him. These fights are not going his way. He's not making progress. He needs to change something. The something he needs to change, unfortunately, is getting levels, and there are a lot of fights he needs to do. And LockeColeLive is now going to grind, and we're going to find out how this is going to go if we need to deal with that moon boss at Leviathan.
For what it's worth here, LockeCole is very close to getting Lightning 3 on Palom, and I think once he hits that Lightning 3, Odin will be... you'll get to do 999 quad 9s out the gate with Palom, and then your additional levels on your Cecils will probably result in enough physical damage to bring up the rest of it.
Yep, that is a very fair point, and yeah, if you only need to do 20,000 damage and you can do half of it with Lightning 3, you can probably pull out the rest of it.
Yeah, but the big worry right here is if that is Wyvern at Leviathan. I mean, we know there's a cursed ring. A cursed ring fully enables the correct agility to do it, but LockeCole didn't buy one, not sure if he looked there, and LockeCole's out of Starveils. So you really, yeah, you're going to have to go do quite a bit of shopping to prep your team for that fight, or you're not going to get through it with just your team as it's set up currently.
Yes, this is, sometimes Free Enterprise is really nice, and sometimes Free Enterprise is about making you suffer. This is one of the rare occasions where you have two Cecils, and you are just getting beaten all over the place. This is a very mean seed.
It is good to see Xudmud seeking out more XP, although those hourglasses back in the Eblin shop would make this a lot safer and a lot easier.
Yes, and I think there's a rune axe in Eblin Cave as well, so I don't know if Xudmud takes away from the Mad Ogres, unfortunately. Yeah, there's a very delicate balance with Free Enterprise between going and over-preparing and under-preparing. You really need to know, and this is just an experience thing, how well you can deal with a variety of things with the tools you have, when you need to get more tools, when you go and gamble on not finding something that would take more tools that you have, which Pogo takes a lot of tools to deal with. Just something that you're going to go and have a hard time dealing with in a lot of situations. And being underprepared will really hurt. And as you said, just tilting like, I've spent time, I need to go get through, I'm just going to go for this, and throwing yourself into that unfortunate cycle of losing time and doubling down on decisions that are not paying off is really easy to do in these races because they are so high stress.
Yeah, and luckily, so during some early consideration regarding the Zenith Zone 3 flags, there was, for a while, consideration of disabling encounters altogether. And seeds like this are one reason that it is very fortunate we did not go with that option. Imagine here, if you were to go chew through all your trap chests availability, and then that's all the XP you've got. How are you going to manage your resources to get through this fight? And it really would have closed off. It would have been a huge barrier to entry for so many people.
Yes.
When seeds, in and of themselves, a hook seed can do this to you. So, luckily, you do have the option to grind. There is always somewhere you can turn encounters on, get that extra experience, and get the levels you need to beat the seed. Slowly but surely, you can level up and get through pretty much anything in the game Wyverns, of course, can be a little cheeky at some points, but at least they will not gate your way underground.
Yes, they'll go and they may get your way to the moon, which would be equally rude, but you have a lot more options underground compared to overworld. And speaking of options, LockeColeLive is taking the option of going to Twin Heart and providing us with a little special treat. We normally in the vanilla game, Edward plays a little lovely little tune on his harp. In the randomizer, we give him a much expanded repertoire, and he'll go and pick one of a number of random songs to play for us.
But of course, first we have to get through the preliminary Dark Elf situation. I got everyone metallicized except the kid, but we got a Kamikaze kicking around. End this fight in a hurry. Doesn't even consume the item. With scripted fights like this, if you burn the item, it's there when you come back, strangely enough.
Nice of our the developers to let you fight, do a nice thing where you can go and think, this is a real fight, I need to go and do my hardest and beat this, and not punish you for it. Speaking of not punishing you, I'm going to be quiet so we can listen to music. Fitting theme for a seed where you need wits and guile in order to get through some of the rudest parts of the seed itself. Hallam taking out Rubicant, the Rubicant form of the Elements fight with a nice 3, and LockeColeLive is through that fight.
Do we get a 10th key item to accelerate our grinding? Oh, wow. Okay. You know what that means, right?
We're checking the spoiler log to see logically who had the Luca key in the Pay March.
Yeah, let's pay attention at the end, chat. I am immensely curious. I want to know who was gating the Luca key and how. One of the two Fey March fights either had it directly or had it by way of the Earth Crystal. If it's by way of the Earth Crystal, that means that pretty much every gating key item was on Earth Moon, haunted as all heck. But yeah. Clever use of the Warp Glitch, dodging those fights. If you turn the Warp Glitch off here, and you're forced to do those two, whew, you thought the seed was nasty already. Imagine factoring that into it.
Who do you take first? I imagine you check to see who the Leviathan spot boss is first, and then you decide is the most reasonable thing.
Yeah. Now here, though, are you going down to the Masamune altar or the Giant? Like, if the Masamune altar gives you the Legend Sword, you don't have to do Giant. If you do Giant first and can go ahead and get through it, you are getting so much XP for the items and boss fights that you're probably going to just step all over whatever's on that Ogopogo altar. It's, There's also the part of me that wants vengeance against Ogopogo at this point. I'm going to go down and trash your house.
I'm going to find you at home and make you regret coming to my house. But LockeColeLive is at 10 key items. He's going to be getting double experience. He can also check to see who the character on the moon is, and he's not interested. He's going to the Giant of Babel. This is actually rather ambitious because, yeah, LockeColeLive got through Ogopogo or Rubicon, but now we're going from you're functionally skipping 2 dungeons worth of experience and coming into this. Not to mention a whole bunch of potential side questing in the form of doing all the summon fight. This is the penultimate dungeon in the game, and there's 2 really beefy bosses here, and the CPU fight can be really mean.
Oh yeah, it's tied for highest physical attack in the game. Tied with the Bahamut spot, I believe. So anything there that punches is going to be tearing you up, and anchoring is tricky. I don't have a cursed ring on LockeCole, and yeah, it can be pretty bad. Xudmud, meanwhile, has over here and taken down a boss fight in the Waterfall Lake area, looking for a little bit more loot, and getting a little more XP this way. We definitely need more levels on that side, on Xudmud's side, to break through the Ogopogo spot. And if you know, this results in a little bit more comfy sources of leveling up, then yeah, bit by bit we go.
Yep. Whatever it takes. This is, when you're stuck sometimes, you just have to do whatever it takes to get through and break through that wall. And we're surrounded by a wall of Octomams. This is one of the actual sprites that has 4 parts and is fitting in a 4-part sprite location.
Yeah. Chat was rooting for a Kenatsu fight. Kenatsu at this location will open up doing 2,600 damage with its waves. Octomammoth is going to seem nasty here to start with, but the thing is that after we chop a few of these tentacles off, it'll be so slow that the team will have no trouble here. Just have to get those initial swings in.
Yes, Octomam is a very front-loaded fight. You want to start aggressive, and then you can go and recover from all of the rudeness that gets thrown at you. But Lit 3, weak to lightning, does good damage.
Blinks and bursts, gonna be making life even easier here.
Yep, that's Blink is an amazing spell on bosses that only do physical hits because, yeah, if Pogo only punched physically, he'd be a really easy boss. You cast Blink and negate 2 physical attacks. And, yeah, you can throw a lot of Blinks with a White Mage.
Yep.
Also, this spot, I believe, is, what, 150,000 experience base? So this is going to give 300,000 experience?
No, this one will give, like, 202,500.
Okay.
And then the CPU spot will give 300,000, as long as it's not split forms.
Okay. I remember that the Giant of Babel is a disgusting amount of experience if you can get through it.
Yeah, the way the game programs it is the Elements fight is 2 different parts, each with 2 different sprites that flip. The Mylon and Rubicante part is 1 fight, as well as 1 monster, pardon me, and then Kenatsu and Val is another monster. Which means you can only get XP for one of the 2 halves there, because you don't. If you kill the first one, the second one never spawns. The second one spawns, the first one just disappears from the field. But the way Free Enterprise distributes XP means, hey, all that XP at that spot, boom, we're putting it in the fight, and these single monsters at Element spot give real juicy XP gains.
Yep, and speaking of single fights, this is I believe Octomam's gone through a rather disarming experience at this point.
That last little tentacle is just waving goodbye. So
yeah,
long.
I don't think they're feeling it anymore.
Yeah, and with that out, we are dining on seafood soup. Octomammoth is down. About to get another huge XP infusion. Everything's really starting to come together at this point.
Yeah, LockeCole is in a good position right now. Though we still have the Rose fight.
Hear me out there. Wyvern at either CPU or at the Ogopogo altar.
No, I want something very different at the Ogopogo altar.
Oh, Alt Gauntlet, yeah, we've not seen Alt Gauntlet yet.
Yes. Because why not go and take our Cecils to obscene levels of experience that you will get from completing the Alt Gauntlet at Masamune with double experience? Because honestly, what would be more rewarding for our runners than to have to go through that really awful set of fights and get so much experience? You go to the Zeroma's fight and you might actually have a Cecil who can go and match him on agility.
Ooh, now LockeCole did not heal up before this fight. You get a full heal for the Elements fight. You do not get one for the CPU fight. And both physicals and magics are really strong here.
Yeah.
That would be 2,400 damage on a Fire 2 spell. Get your anti-mage weaponry out and get it swinging quick.
Yes, this is you don't see. It's really hard to go and get well into quadruple digit damage with Fire 2 spells without a weakness to exploit.
Yeah, and we do see LockeCole throwing that Rune Axe on Cecil. That'll do a world of good. But yeah, Cure 4, heal this team up, and you'll have a much easier time with Cure 3, whatever. Just get some HP.
Yep, that also the levels we're at, we are definitely. Well, if this was Rosa, I would say this is a Zeromus ready White Mage, but Porum, you see that her HP begins with 13, and Big Bangs like to go and start with 20.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Magus fight it's scary, and if you want to do something really, really cheeky and maybe incredibly dangerous, you can get a lot of experience here by just killing off the front sister and the back sister repeatedly. But no.
And Xudmud, take another swing at this Ogopogo fight. Chat's pointing Zud has gear now, but the problem is not Zud's gear. Zud's deficit here is not in the equipment. It's not in the overall plan of the fight. It is in simply not having the necessary levels to be able to pull this off. That's all this takes. Like, right now, I love the gear, I love the setup, I love the use of the curse string, but Xudmud needs levels. Take some fights.
Yeah. Looks like, hey, he's finding a fight. He can go and take this one. And still doesn't get a lot of experience. It's only going to be 4,000 experience base, but get him somewhere. Meanwhile, LockeColeLive has gone and taken down the Maga Sisters, and we are seeing some spells learned on Bridia. Bridia learned Weak. She is close to getting Nuke if she's with the party as we go through the Vanilla Masamune Altar and survive that fight. She'll probably be at Nuke, which... Here's a question. Do you do reflex traps with a 3-mage 2 Cecil team?
The problem there is the anchoring and the fact that mages are pretty slow compared to Cecil. I would be more inclined to do hybrid strats, I think, just because you're going to be... It's a little safer. You're going to be flipping through the phases so quickly, it's not going to be a problem. If I were feeling real spicy, maybe I'd check if I had a Unihorn lying around, but... I don't see that either. I think you just do hybrid, play it safe, and yeah, take care of it that way. Although, wait, LockeCole's out of Starveils.
LockeCole also has not gone and purchased more. You are correct. So, LockeCole, I really hope does not go for the direct nuke game on Zeromus, because that gets really painful.
Yeah, I mean, this team's really good, and LockeCole has made it through everything else the Seed has thrown at him. I think he'll be able to handle this too, but it'll definitely be interesting to see how it plays out. That is...
I agree, and we're going to see who is the character on the Lunar Altar. We saw that it was a Porum, and the Giant Porum who was not added to the team, because surprisingly enough, you have level 50 characters. You don't want to add a level 10 character to your team.
Yeah. Trino in chat pointing out that Porum probably has wall, and she absolutely does, but here's the thing. Okay, do you take this guy with the swords you have? Good question.
You get double experience, why not?
Yeah,
you can probably
but the problem with Porum's wall is that if you are going in with a Cecil anchoring at not really a good anchoring thing, everyone on your team is going to be relative agility 5, 6, or 7 here. Edge will probably be like a 3. And what that means is that you can't do the trick where your walls never expire, and no white mage's wall is as good as a Starveil. So yeah, if you had the right ATB set up, sure, it would last forever. Here, you run a dangerous chance of nuking one of your own characters in the face.
Yeah, and if a black hole comes out, that's more things your white mage needs to do, and you already only have one person who can cast those white magic spells.
And so Locke is walking down to the bottom of the moon. One more fight to go till he gets the crystal. And you have mentioned that the nastiest thing that we... Alt Gauntlet?
Yep. It is, however, a disgusting amount of experience. I would love to see the runners get that, and then, the levels they would have invent. The levels!
Why don't you just make it drop a crystal sword while you're at it? How's that, Baka?
I was thinking Avenger, so you could go and hot swap that Defender Sword, but Crystal Sword, really good choice too. Can't go and disagree with you. But the seed, Ogopogo is one of my first hook bosses. Was Ogopogo. I remember it to this day for good reason. He is incredibly rude at hook. One thing to mention, Inza, is that if you don't have Star Veils, Riddy is not going to be doing a lot in that final fight, because if you cast a nuke on Zeromus, or any spell on Zeromus, he counters with nuke. And secondly, any character who is more than 5 levels behind the median gets double experience, and we just found a free fight.
So this means that Edge is getting Edge is gonna get
400,000 experience.
I think taking Edge was a good call.
Yeah, I think Edge is gonna catch up a little bit.
Yeah, it's the wrong altar. That's absolutely true. This is actually the D's lunar spot, I believe. This is the Ribbon Room?
Yes, this is the Ribbon Room, this is the D lunar altar. Maybe he's just taking this fight, he was just checking this fight for experience, but
it is really good XP, and if you're slingshotting an Edge, yeah, I don't hate it. And you know how terrible the and you know at this point how, like, your opponent's not done yet. You had a terrible time back with back getting through the hook route, so.
Yep. 18 levels on Edge. He is now level 43. I think he's still 5 levels behind the median as well.
I think you're right. Let's see. Moonveil and a Magma Key. I mean, okay, so one important thing here. That is a Veil item. We now have a Veil. We are bailed out on that front. We do have a source of Reflect if we want to start throwing nukes and holies with our Palom and our Porum. Alternately, if this is a real nasty melee-oriented fight down here, it turns your Ogopogo altar into a free.
Yeah, you're definitely right on that front. It is, it's no Crystal Sword or Avenger, but it is a tool that can help you get through this last objective.
Magma Key, though. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Asuka, you're a legend.
No one woman should have that much power.
Hey, let's take bets on what levels the characters are going to end at.
Oh, we're going to have, like, level 61 across the board.
I mean, it's only if you survive. So
you know what's great, though? Normally, you get kind of annoyed with the Evil Mask casting all these reflects. This time, you're like, oh, bring it.
You have done this to the wrong team. We are much more muddy on that magic front than you.
Oh, and the Holy's coming from the Evil Mask only doing 750 damage. Porum's like, was it white? I will show you how. Pew, 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 pew! That's kind of bait. I just know, wow, the white spell does kind of sound like a rap air horn. It really does? Okay, cool. Anyway.
Alright, question then, which came first? Rap or Final Fantasy IV?
I mean, look, I know that you're from Boston and everything, but I think even you know the answer to that question.
I believe it's Final Fantasy IV.
I'm sending you back to. I'm sending you back to get a new education. Anyway, so behemoths. You know, we're anchored very poorly for most fights, but not for behemoths. Behemoths super slow. We're not going to be getting extra punches from them. We're basically only going to see the counterattacks that's this little encounter.
Yep, that's behemoths are incredibly slow. I don't know if they have actually double-digit agility, to be entirely honest.
Well, you know, while we're digging through this gauntlet, I think I'll go find out.
You know, I think this is going to be a great time to find out. Also, this is my first time seeing all the fights in the alt gauntlets here, so I'm curious as to what the next, 3 or 4 fights?
There are 5 fights.
So there are 3 more fights after this one.
Yup. And their speed index is from 1 to 3. Behemoths get a random base agility between 1 and 3 inclusive.
Which means that when you go in here with a 1 agility anchor, you're making them relative agility 1 and punch twice as much.
No, they're only relative agility 5 then, because they're the same as your anchor.
Well,
But if they're relative agility 3, but if they, well, it depends. If they roll a 1, they'll be RA 5. If they roll a 2, they'll be RA 2.
real?
And if they roll a 3, they'll be RA 1.
Yes. So
I don't know if in Free Enterprise they're the same every time. The boss stat spreadsheet does have variable agilities on several boss spots in the game, so I assume Boardface left it in for regular encounters as well.
that's pretty amusing, to be entirely honest. But we're probably going to be able to use that Moonveil on that final fight because we're getting very few reasons to use it here.
True.
Hey, look, Edge is probably caught up on levels now because I think he's just gotten 3.
Oh, bring out the spoon! Oh, just Dragon Spear. You don't get the bonus multiplier for dragons by throwing the spears, but holy crap, we do have an awful lot of dragoon cutlery to throw here.
Yeah, it would have been really nice to see a Cane in the seat, I imagine. Also, both Cecils have 4,000 HP. Edge is probably going to be close to 3,000 HP. Horum has over 2,000 HP. This is
I think there's going to be some real fun revenge being held on this seed when we get to this.
Threemus is going to be the biggest joke of the seed. He's supposed to be the biggest, baddest guy in this game, and he is going to get destroyed. Horum has life too. Horum's like level 60 at this point.
I told you everyone would be like level 61.
There's still another fight out. No, excuse me, this is the last fight, isn't it? Because we had Evil Wall,
there's one more.
Evil Wall, Red Dragon, and then this is the double Red Dragon fight. So that's 5 fights.
Oh, okay. I missed one then.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. I didn't realize we'd fought a second one. I mean, a second mask. Pardon me.
Yep.
And that's another 207,000 XP.
When you're at level 16 getting 2 levels of fight, you are...
Have more spears. All right. You know what? Lock. Don't save. Don't save lock. Don't. You have to reestablish dominance after how the seed. Just go right to Zeromus. Do it.
How badly do things have to go for... level 61.
He's doing it! He's doing it!
Michael's asserting dominance. Normally I would say overcome is a slow and insidious killer, but really, you're level 60. Horum has more than 2,300 HP.
Yeah, this is more a situation where level 61 is a fast and very blunt and not subtle at all killer. I do wonder what the Cecil agility is, the one at the anchor spot.
This is one of those times where if you really want to min-max, you look at the agilities. You see how close you are to 42 because you have gone way past 28. And then you take that crystal ring of the Artemis bow to go and adjust. But I do believe we've got a good question to ask. I see some flags out in chat, and Ben, what are those about?
So, we randomize all the bosses, shuffle them all around, but not Zeromus. Zeromus gotta stay put. But we're gonna give the final boss a little makeover. Over 450 sprites in the pool, most of them by your friend, my friend, our friend, Scala Kitty. And accordingly, with the surprise incoming, whose butt are we going to utterly wipe off the surface of the moon tonight?
Part of me wishes that Ogopogo was in this pool just for the shock value and the irony, because this would be a really different fight for Ogopogo this time.
Oh, and just so you know, I'm checking. Paladin Cecil at level 61 has a base agility of 36. That's not the dream for anchoring, but I don't think we care.
I agree.
That's some chibi form of Galleon from the Lunar series. I don't know exactly which game this version of him is from. If Scala's around, I'm sure she can expound for us.
Yeah. Throwing a nuke on Wrestle, the big DPS Cecil for 1,300. That is a bit over a quarter of Wrestle's HP. That means that he's in slightly more irritating range for a Big Bang to hit him.
The Scala, we've reached the point where Scala has made so can't even remember where she got the sprites from.
When you got 450 different sprites, I think it's kind of understandable.
Yeah, Blackjack Trial, Xudmud, or pardon me, Jaded Dragon asking, sorry, right side by side in the chat, apologies. Jaded Dragon, why is Summit so far behind? What, does something happen? Yeah, we have one of the rudest possible fights at the Rubicontes location, gating underground access. And although Xudmud has the tools and the team to get through here, has not taken the time to grind out the levels, and has instead looked around for loot, taken a few fights that didn't really improve the level situation, and has had some real bad times with it. Sometimes, extra grinding's what you have to buckle down and do, as annoying as it is, and just hasn't happened on this side yet.
Yeah, it's Ogopogo is one of those fights that it's an endgame enemy in a mid-game boss spot when you have only done early game content. It's rude.
Very rude. Very rude.
And speaking of rude, I think, there's that one Big Bang came out, and Forum looks like LockeColeLive is opting to go and nerf this next Big Bang, getting up a Silk Web with Forum. I'm going to be entirely honest, I don't think this team needs it. I think this team can just simply go and tank full Big Bangs because Forum has 2400 HP.
I'm pretty sure LockeColeLive could have Quint Zerk this and not done anything after getting the Zerks queued up. I think that he could have just, with these levels, put the controller down, walk away, come on back in a minute.
Yeah, this is, when you roll out enough damage, Threemus just kind of gets a bit confused and tries to start up his Big Bang script, and then rolls into his next phase, where he starts over trying to cast Big Bang. And he might cast a Big Bang and then go into Media just because there's a lot of damage coming out and he gets a bit confused.
He's like, why does it hurt so bad? I don't know what to cast. Here, we'll try this spell.
Yes, what? So, why haven't we not seen another Big Bang yet? That's because, Threemus has 100,000 HP about, but he can't actually have that much. He has 61,000 HP max, but after you do 42,000 damage of direct damage, he refills the HP and changes phases. When he changes phases, he resets where he is in his previous script and starts fresh. And
Still carving it up, we see some reflected holies coming out. Surprised we're not seeing some reflected nukes coming on. I think LockeCole is trying to nerf every Big Bang just for extra safety. Knows that he didn't take the safety save, and is just trying to exercise a little extra caution. Here we go. Now we see that nuke queued up.
Yep. And, Threemus is in Media phase. This is what Threemus does when he's down to 12,000 HP, and, Media's a lot less scary when Threemus casts it because we don't go and give him a lot of magic power, he only does one roll, and it's kind of easy to dodge, so it's not guaranteed to destroy your team, and I'm pretty sure this is going to finish it off.
Yep, that nuke is message not disappearing from the screen. GG's out in chat. LockeColeLive finishing this absolute monster of a seed, getting his first win with an official time of 2 hours, 10 minutes, 22 seconds. Holy cow. We'll see if LockeCole is interested in an interview, and if so, we'll get him in here soon and see what he thought of it.
Yes, GG's to Locke. That seed liked to, the seed liked going and trying to make you cry.
And we do see Locke has moved to the room, and there's that muted microphone symbol gone. Locke! Jeez.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Honest question, is that the nastiest free enterprise seed you've ever played, or even at least the nastiest one played on set?
Definitely the one of this flag set. That was the worst one of this flag set for sure. I'm not sure if it's the worst I've ever had, but that's up there. That's up there.
Gotcha. Now, what were your thoughts when you did finally break through that Ogopogo barrier? Like, did you feel behind? Did you think, oh, well, that's so nasty, my opponent's going to have a rough time too? Like, what was your plan? Like, how did you come down from that and refocus your gameplay?
At that point, I figured if I'm having as much trouble with this, I'm sure my opponent is. Because Ogopogo there is just the worst. He's like one of the worst bosses there. So I'm like, if I'm having problems, he's probably having problems. So I didn't feel like super behind. But then once everything else started happening, it's like, oh boy. It's like it seemed like every rude spot that could have been a rude boss was just there. Like the Fey March. I didn't want to touch those bosses.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Baka.
I'm a bit disappointed. You didn't even check to see what nightmare we had down there. It was we saw the Valvalis, which is 9 out of 10 nightmare, but you didn't check that Leviathan spot. How are you feeling looking at that and wondering about your options?
I knew it was Wyvern or D-Lunars. I didn't want to mess with either one. Because those are the only two we had left. But I'll go check for you real quick because I got the seed up still, so give me a minute. I'll let you know.
That's it can be. That spot is very rude, but the ruder thing I think was, how did you feel seeing 6 Cecils to start the game?
I honestly really wanted to get all 5 in my team at once so I could have an army of Pain Man. That's all I wanted.
Alas, the Cid went and told you no. This isn't.
Yeah, if I got in the Cecil first, I would have thrown him in the party just to have all 5 in a row there.
Oh, but you powered down just to 2 in your party.
Yeah.
And how often have you been stuck in a situation with that where you were forced to deal with the vanilla agility because you can't get rid of enough Cecils?
Honestly, not very often. I don't think I've ever been in this situation because we just had too many. Like, we really did, and we didn't have any other option.
Yeah, that was an impressive overworld just for that alone, of how many different Cecils you got.
I think it was 6?
Yeah, it was 6. There was one. You started with 2, one in Watery Pass, one in Damsian, another one on Mount Ordeals, and I believe there's another one in Mysidia with Cid.
Yeah, it's too many. It's too many.
And then you were left with Rydia on Mount Hobbs and Porum in the Barren Inn, and then you got a Hallam through a Sand Ruby, I think.
Yeah, sounds right.
No, I thought it was a Porum.
Porum was Baron in, Palom was.
Oh yeah, Porum. Okay, yeah, I got this two mixed up. That's what it was.
I probably said one of them backwards because I do that all the time.
Yeah. Fun fact: it was D-Lunars at the Fey merch boss.
So Wyvern was still hiding out somewhere.
He sure was.
I wonder if Wyvern was hiding out at Sealed Cave.
Well, their CPU.
We're seeing in the credits that CPU at Bahamut had the Legend Sword, so if you really didn't want to go into the Alt Gauntlet at Ogopogo...
Ooh, and Moon was pretty much haunted. Earth Crystal at Valvalis. So then, did the Earth Crystal lead to the Luca Key? Or is Luca Key just chilling there at the D-Lunars? Okay, D-Lunars did have the Luca Key, chat saw it. Okay, good.
The seed.
Beautifully rolled.
Maybe if you only got through that, you would have gotten a Crystal Sword or 2 in the armor, in that treasury.
You're kidding. That's what I was hoping for. I was hoping for some decent swords. I just never got them.
Hey, Moon's not haunted. There's a pink tail at the Murasame altar.
Nice.
And there was the Magma Key. How did you feel when you found the Magma Key at the Ribbon Room?
That didn't bug me as much as the Gungear at the Masamune altar. That bugged me more. I was like, come on, you gave me like 2 white spears, 2 green spears, now you're giving me this garbage?
And 0 canes.
I found 1 life staff, and I don't think I found like any good, decent rods.
No, you have the Mute Knife, which did give you some +5 to your wisdom.
And it did work out.
Yeah, otherwise you were in some fun positions in that seed. Also, I am curious, what was going through your head when you saw the alt gauntlet at Masamune Altar?
There goes the time I spent just waiting for King and Queen Eblon. Should have just used that for the experience. But like, as soon as I saw that edge, I'm like, okay, Radio's not going to be that helpful at Zero Miss. I have 2 ninja swords. I'm grabbing this edge. I'll slingshot him up.
Yeah, I do want to give you huge props for the swag walk. No need to safety save with those levels in that team.
Yeah, I looked at it. I'm like, I'm like 60 plus. She's got 2,400 health. I'm good. I'll just go. I did play it safe, just still nerf Big Bangs just in case and just to get practice in on it. But I was like, I don't need to save.
Yeah, your Porum had like Rosa levels HP. That was rather impressive.
Right? I would have never expected it.
To be fair, she did deserve some reward for going and carrying the Ogo Pogo fight, because she was surprisingly important for that fight, all things considered.
Yeah, that fight wasn't fun. That fight definitely wasn't fun with what we had.
Again, I'm cruel, and I'm just laughing at the fact that you were not allowed to go and anchor with anyone but Cecil for that fight.
It really wasn't. The game wasn't gonna let you.
The game said, no, vanilla agility is turned on. You will go and deal with vanilla agility.
And this, I couldn't even get a silk web because the silk webs are underground.
Well, you do have another match scheduled already and one still pending. I see you got a match with Luffloof next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Just hypothetically speaking, what could happen in that seed to make it even worse than this one? What should we be looking for?
If one of those 2 spots in the Feymark actually had the actual progression, that would make it worse. I'm glad music had it. I'm really glad music had it. Can you get much worse than this?
Well, we'll probably find out at some point over the course of the tournament. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you.
You're right. Oh boy, that was... I mean, it was fun in a sense. Like, it kept me on my toes, but please not again.
Alright, here's a hypothetical for you. How do you change how you approach that seed if you start with Darkness Crystal?
Tell
It was underground.
Oh.
He was
Well,
on
you
the
gotta,
first path.
if you do have the darkness though, Edge is on the moon, and you can pick him up.
Yeah,
right at the
Edge.
start. Yeah.
Edge makes that free, because I think I got both my good ninja swords like on the Earth, so that's fine. Because Urkam having go wild.
But,
Yeah. Any final thoughts tonight, Locke?
Not really. Just all those spots were rude, like that Asura. That was rude too.
Yep. Well, GG's again on your victory, 1-0, on your way to getting that 3-0 and making it to the table directly. Fingers crossed for you. Good luck on your remaining matches.
Thank you very much. And thanks for the restream, thanks for the commentators. It was a lot of fun, even if the seed was just awful.
it was a lot of fun for us.
Well, glad it was. I'm glad I powered through it at least.
Yes. Congratulations on getting through that seed. It was out to break you.
It almost did. But it's fine. I got time before my next match. I'll recover, and I'll be stronger than ever then.
All right. Well, GG's again, Locke.
Thank you very much.
All right, chat, we are going to be moving along and rating Xudmud to cheer him on for the duration of the race. Respect emote only. Don't do anything to try to bypass that. Don't try to do hints. Just cheer Xudmud on. Hopefully, he'll be able to break through this Ogopogo and then through the rest of the seed. But for tonight, we had a blast broadcasting this with you. Make sure you give our runners a follow, especially after what they had to go through this seed. And if you don't mind, give the Restream team a follow. We are out here working hard on this nasty seed tonight. And I'm going to turn it over to Baka for the last words before we get this raid queued up.
Yeah, let's. Xudmud is fighting through this. This is a very mean and cruel seed. I've given them all of my commendations for fighting through this. This is definitely something that it's hard. Go and give them all of your support because this is going to be a hard fight for them. And I would like to wish you all a great evening.
We'll see y'all with more races soon, y'all.
Good night.